Buzz is in the waiting room,
Whoops, thank you, sorry, I was looking away.
Okay,
so we just don't have Janet.
thank you.
Thank you for that, Joe.
Hi, Buzz.
Greetings. Kate, we all set? I'll call the meeting to order, the Bristol Budget Committee at 6 PM on Tuesday, November 26th. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Joanne, would you do us a favor? Thank you.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a number of sections of departments to handle, and we have Joanne Bailey here with us, so we'll do yours first so that we can minimize your time. If you could sit, not that I want to put you in a tough situation, but I need you by the microphone in case anyone is watching us on the computer, that they can hear what you say.
All right,
Just tell the truth, she's in the hot seat.
been in it before.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I represent quite a few of the groups.
All right, so I think this makes sense. I'm gonna just, unless, if I bring up a department that's not yours, speak up and correct me, but I'm gonna do them in order because I think that makes sense. So on our agenda, we've got property reappraisal as the first item. So, I am
4152.
going to make a motion to move the budget section for property reevaluation, which is section 4152, in the select board recommended amount of $172,614. Can I get a second? Seconded by Les. So why don't I just ask you, is there anything you want to tell us or share with us or bring to our attention?
I will bring a couple things to your attention. Since this budget, well, actually, we'll go to 140, 4152, 140, which is property overtime. Last year,
Yes.
the decision was made to add some dollars in the budget to cover
Okay.
possible overtime. We have found, and you'll notice the same line item under land use too. We budgeted $500. We felt going into the new year, it wasn't necessary. We dropped it down to $1 to keep it in the budget. But we've been able to offset people's hours in the pay period to accommodate not going over overtime, and it's worked out great. So you'll see a reduction in the overtime line items.
It's not in there for some reason.
So we don't see it in our paperwork. Our paperwork says that it's currently proposed to be 500. Are you saying
It
that
might have-
you'd be fine to take that down to 1?
It
Yes,
might have overridden, so somehow, but it's at 500, so you could take it down to.
okay,
You don't have to tell us twice. We love you.
okay.
I'll make a motion
That's weird.
to revise, to modify line 140 of section 4152, which is property reappraisal overtime, from the current proposed amount of $500 to a new amount of $1.
Correct.
Seconded.
So motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. Since our department has offered it up, do we have any need for a discussion? Does anyone want to make a comment?
Oh, you know what?
I will.
I'm gonna get you another one. This is wrong.
There's other things that need to be
I was
updated in
about
our.
to ask,
They're all wrong.
the bottom line is, at least in the version that I have, is very different than what you moved.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I apologize, somehow the system ran 2024 again, when we ran them.
So just so you know, the number I have a spreadsheet on my computer, which is a summary of departments and the numbers that were approved by the select board. So that's the number I read. And then, since then, I've opened
Yeah.
up the PDF with the detail in it, so.
If you go in, they're all, the ones that are sent out to everybody were wrong. when the reports were run.
Okay.
But if you go into, I can get one if you, I'll print out a whole budget for Walter. But if you go into your folders from when we presented the meeting, which would have been, what was that, October?
You're talking about when the select board presented them?
Yeah, and I can share one on the screen for you too, Buzz. So, but if you go into the meeting from October, when the select board presented,
I think it was October 29th.
it should be the same numbers.
Yes, select board approved budget, there is a file
Yeah.
in there.
Perfect.
I'll print you one though, Walter, let me go.
And this is, that should be correct, the
Yes.
4152 in here should be correct.
I'm gonna delete that report out of the budget
No,
because that keeps getting picked.
I was gonna say, I printed mine this morning.
172,614, that's the number I read into the motion, and that's the number in this file, so that's good. So,
But I think you should maybe rescind your motion because that 172 includes a $1 appropriation for
yeah.
line 140.
Did-
So we're adjusting, it's already been adjusted for, I guess is the point I'm making.
yep,
Mhm.
Does anybody else want a printed copy of the whole budget? I'll get one for you. Do you want one, Sue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Alright.
so to
And I'll share it for you,
Joe's
Buzz.
point, the budget has been adjusted, our documentation was wrong. So we don't need to vote to adjust it to $1, it already is $1. So I will withdraw the motion to adjust it. It's already been done, thank you.
This is already done, but not on our paper.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
this is, okay.
So the point is, for some reason, this is all wrong, because the bottom line
Yeah,
number
this
is wrong.
Is, yeah.
The system has an old report entry in it and that mistakenly is what I used. So I apologize, it's me. But we'll make sure we delete that old report because it doesn't need to be there anymore, so.
Is that gonna be true now for all of the
Yep,
files that individual department PDFs that were
Yep.
distributed are all gonna be wrong? So
well, wait, no, just this one. The other one says 2025, the next one.
okay,
Hang on.
have it open again. Okay, so before we move on, let's keep going on
Okay.
property appraisal. Is there anything else you want to bring to our attention?
4152-312, which is the contract service line. We've also lessened that. In the last few years, we've budgeted $30,000. We've dropped that down to 26, reason being some of the items will remain that we currently and continue to still use, but the $4,000 decrease was when we used Denise DeStefano
Right.
to help us out. And now that the land use and assessing team is pretty much autonomous and we're running, those funds didn't need to be there any longer.
Okay, so we
So-
don't need to make an adjustment in the file that I'm
No.
looking at, we're at 26, which is the
We
number
are.
you're talking about, but you're
Yes.
bringing it up because it changed from the amount that was in the 24 budget.
Correct.
And bringing it to our attention.
Correct.
Thank you.
The next one, since you're not looking at the most current report,
I think I have it on my computer now,
Okay.
so it is available.
Pull up the minutes from the other
Yeah.
meeting. It's-
That's, I'm looking at the
under
file
this,
that from Rob.
under the reevaluation of properties, still 4152,560. We had budgeted, last year it was budgeted for 800.
Right.
When, at the time that I did this budget, I increased it to $1,100.
Right,
However, since that time, we now have at our disposal a town vehicle. So in that line, we had built in, each of the departments were gonna have to cover their own mileage.
I see
Um,
the note in
it-
here,
it
added
was
mileage
this-
for trainings and meetings.
Yep, so I backed out the $310 that I added to that, so it will drop it back to 800 as it has been for the last.
Oh, okay, that's what it says right here.
So it starts here on this.
I hear what you're saying, I think we do need to make a motion to change it from the
It's-
$1,100 to the
Yep.
$800.
The rest are right, and it starts right there, okay?
My financial professional is shaking his head, good, okay. Okay, let me go ahead and do that then. I'll make a motion to amend line 560 of section 4152, which is the meetings, memberships, and trainings for property reevaluation, from the current proposed amount of $1,100 to a new amount of $800.
Second.
Seconded, motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. Anyone want to make a comment? So, Walter, you're looking like I'm going too fast.
I'm lost, I can't even
What
find.
number was that?
I've got 73,763.
So we're in section 4152, and we're on
It
line
starts here.
560.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the next page for you because of the way we have to print it. So,
And that's
and then it ends here.
It's
So
currently
these all
1100, we're
go
gonna
to
change it to
this.
800.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
So this isn't updated on this sheet?
Correct.
The other sheet.
Correct, this is a new
So that's minus.
560.
Yep, 560.
decrease.
Yep, because Joanne doesn't need the 1,100. And so the next vote will be for that.
Yep, okay,
So we're going,
I got lost.
Sorry
Easy to
about that.
that's
So
okay.
all of the rest of the budgets that you have are correct.
It's just that one.
This one that was
Yeah.
printed for the wrong year, so.
All right, so I think we've got the documentation straightened out. We've got a recent change now where Joanne has proposed to take the meetings, memberships, and trainings line down from 1,100 to 800 because there was money put in for mileage on personal vehicles, and now that we have a town car, they can use that and not charge us for it. So, not hearing any further discussion, we'll call a roll call vote because we have Buzz on the computer, we have to do roll call votes. So, we'll start with Buzz.
Aye.
Paul, aye.
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 I,
Buzz?
Aye.
Okay, so we have 6-0-0, that change is approved. Anything else in this section, Joanne?
The only other that I'll point out is 620.
Supplies.
Yeah, I did go up by $100. 2025 will be our revalue. There's going to be a lot of activity next year. So just to kind of handle
Okay.
some extra office supplies in that group.
I did hear in the next year is a reval year, so that matches with what I had heard.
And that's the only other thing on that.
Okay. So we've heard from the department head, who's pointed out some things that have changed for information and also offered up a further change. Do any committee members have any questions, comments, or proposed further changes? Okay, not hearing any, I will call the vote to approve. So we're going to vote to approve the budget section in the new revised amount. So we're going to vote to approve the budget for the property reevaluation section in the new amount of $172,314 as amended. So,
314.
right, it changed from 614 to 314. So,
Was that a motion?
so I originally made the motion to start the discussion. I don't think
We did a roll call.
we need a roll call, we need to vote. I mean, I'll ask Christina. Christina, do I need to take a vote to close debate and now move the final vote? No need to vote to close
I don't
discussion.
think you have to vote to close discussion.
All
I
right.
think you just do a
We
final
just need to
vote.
vote. So, not hearing any further discussion on the overall departmental budget, we're gonna vote on approving it in the amended amount.
You need to make a motion to approve it as the amended.
Okay, I will make a motion. Thank you, Joe. I will make a motion. I didn't think I needed to do this, but I will. I'll make a motion to approve the property reevaluation section of the budget, which is number 4152, in the revised amount of $172,314.
I'll second.
Seconded by Sue. Roll call vote. Buzz?
Sorry.
Walter?
Aye.
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 6-0-0, that passes.
I think, I might have been wrong on that. I'm used to, the prior years, we would move the bottom line, and then if there's a specific line, we would amend that line, so I apologize. You might
That's
be
okay.
right that we don't have. to-
I'd rather do extra motions.
I think I
and-
had it backwards.
I don't think we needed to do it, but if we're
Yeah.
gonna make a mistake, I'd rather make an extra motion than fail to make a
Sure,
motion.
sure, sure. Yeah.
Extra is not a problem, lacking could cause someone to question what we're doing, so let's not do that. So I think we're done with the property appraisal. The next section is planning board. So,
And that one is correct in your folders.
so I'll make a motion to move the planning board section of the budget, which is section 4191, in the select board recommended amount of $9,300. I need a second?
Oh, second.
Many.
Nanny. Okay, motion by Paul, seconded by Les, to move planning board. So,
Really no
do you
change.
do you wanna,
We
have
can,
anything that you wanna say about?
and we're
Not really.
pretty much flat, yeah, we've made no changes in the planning board budget.
Okay, let me just check. 4191. I'm just gonna keep working through this, so I don't have to open other files. No, I'm in the wrong place. Here we go. All right, so you don't have anything that you want to bring to our attention or anything that you want to change?
All
And,
I'll mention, Mr. Chair, is on line item 73, or 730, the master plan. You'll notice we had budgeted $6,000.
Mm-hmm,
To date, well, as of my report printed, we've spent about 2,200. More of those funds will be spent. However, what isn't spent, we will encumber. We've received a new contract. We've outsourced to a company to help the planning board with a master plan.
okay. I was gonna comment that the $9,300 it is level funded. That's
Yep.
the amount that we had recommended in the,
Mhm.
well, I should say, that is the amount that the voters approved in the 2024 budget. It's what you proposed for the 2025 budget.
Correct.
And I will say I've been to, I don't go to all of them or even many of them, but I've been to one or two planning board members and I've heard them talk about that, then the need to get some more sections written.
Yep.
And that they're hiring a contractor, and so,
Yeah, by law, by statute, they have to have the vision and the land use chapters done. And that's what, vision was already done, so we're working on the land use side.
all right. Do any other committee members have a comment, a question, or a suggested change?
No, everything's.
Okay, not hearing any discussion, let's go ahead and vote on the budget for this section. So we're gonna have a vote on final approval for the planning section of the budget, which is number 4191, in the original amount of $9,300. Again, we'll do a roll call. I'm just gonna alternate starting on one end to the other, so we'll have to say it with less. Aye.
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 Buzz is gone.
Buzz, are you still there?
Aye.
Thank you. So 6-0, that passes. I must say, Joanne, you're very efficient. We're doing great here.
Pretty simple budget.
Simple stuff. So the next section is zoning board. So I will let me just make a note here that we did planning without any change. And now we'll do zoning. So we're gonna move to consider the budget for the zoning board, which is section 4192, in the select board recommended amount of $2,450. Second, please.
Second, oh,
Seconded by Les. Motion by Paul, seconded by Les. We're now gonna do zoning. Again, this is, well, no, it's $50 more, but it's
$50.
pretty close to level funded. Anything you wanna bring to our attention?
Office supplies have gone up.
Okay,
So we bumped that just a bit, but other than that, no other changes.
Does anyone on the committee have a comment or question or proposed change? I don't have anything to say either, so not hearing anything, we'll go ahead and vote on final approval for the zoning section of the budget, which is 4192. So we're gonna vote in the original, we're gonna vote to approve the original amount of $2,450. Roll call vote, Buzz?
Aye.
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 6-0 passes. Zero. We go back to the agenda. The next thing is tax map. So we're going to consider the budget for the tax map section of the budget, which is section 4193, in the select board recommended amount of $8,750.
I'll make a motion.
I need a second is what I need.
Oh, I second.
Okay. I thought I made a motion to start. Did I not say that?
Didn't say motion.
I stand corrected. So we have a motion from Joe, seconded by Sue,
Yeah.
to move the tax map.
We get you covered.
Between all of us, we'll get it done. I'm not. So, there's only one line in here and it's level funded, so do you have anything to say?
Nope.
Does anyone have a question or a comment about the tax map section? Not hearing that, I will call a vote for final approval of the tax map section, which is section 4193 in the original amount of $8,750. Les?
Aye.
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 Buzz?
Aye.
6-0. Another one passes. Land use health.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's not in the, it's in a different section. So we're gonna I will make a motion to consider or to move the budget for the land use health office, which is section 4411, in the select board recommended amount of $159,037. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Les, to move land use and health office 4411 in the select board recommended 159,037. 4411. This is a bigger section, so you might have something you want to bring to our attention or comment on.
Similarly to the property appraisal, line 140, the land use overtime, again, we did the same thing where we had budgeted 500 initially for last year, but we've been able to offset their schedules, so we dropped that down to $1. We did pick up a new line item in this under land use.
Mm-hmm.
It's 412, land use water testing.
Okay.
It was determined that we really needed to have a separate line item to capture the water testing that is done by land use and the health officer at the beaches and so forth.
I'm sorry, not at the
And
beaches.
culvert, the culvert testing. We've had some concerns with how it feeds some of the culverts. So we gave it up in overtime, but we added it to the water testing.
Right, and those don't require any action on our part because the overtime's already adjusted to 1.
Yep.
And the water testing, the new line 412 is in our document for $500.
And the only other item I would bring to your attention is line 560, which is land use meetings, memberships, and trainings.
Mm-hmm.
Again, similarly, we budgeted to capture any mileage
Mm-hmm.
needed by the staff, but now that we have a town vehicle, we can back out the $600 that was added. So that will adjust the number.
So you would support taking that line 560 from 1,600 back down to 1,000.
Correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend line 560 of section 4411, which is meetings, memberships, and trainings for the land use office, from the current amount of $1,600 to a new amount of $1,000.
I second.
Seconded, so motion by Paul, seconded by Sue. Seems fairly straightforward. If someone wants to say anything, speak up quick, otherwise I'm gonna call a vote. Not hearing anything? Buzz is first, right? Buzz,
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
gotcha, thank you.
Aye.
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 So 6 ayes, that passes. So we'll take 600 out of there. And you said that was the last comment that you,
Yep, for that line, for that area, for land use.
I don't think there's anything contentious. At some point, I'd be curious, I'm not proposing to make a change, but I might be curious to see, how are your revenues tracking?
I'll be able to talk to you about that. I'll be able to share some numbers.
Later in the meeting today?
Yep. I mean,
Excellent.
I've got some numbers I can share.
Okay.
I'll just make the comment that, because Joanne's my mother-in-law, this section contains compensation, I'll abstain from voting on the bottom line on this one.
Okay, I thought you might, but that is completely your decision. Thank you. Okay, I lost track of where we are. So we voted on the amendment, we haven't voted on the budget yet, right? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns, or motions to amend that they would like to bring forward before we vote on the bottom line for land use? Not hearing any. I will now call a final vote. We're going to vote on approving the land use section of the budget, which is 4411, in the modified, the adjusted amount of $158,437. Les?
Aye.
Paul, aye.
Oh, Sue? I'm aye.
Abstain.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Aye.
Buzz?
Aye.
So that's 501, that passes. Do you want to talk a little bit about revenues just for this, or do you want to wait and do all your sections and then you talk about revenue for everything that you're doing?
We only have
You really
two-
only have it for that one section?
We only have 2 more sections and they're
Let's
pretty-
keep going then.
yeah.
All right.
4611.
Conservation Commission. Good, because I was thinking the next thing on the agenda is animal welfare, and I'm like, that's not Joanne.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I have had a dog in my office that was brought to me.
Oh, all right. Well, okay, I'll make a motion to move the budget section for the Conservation Commission, which is section 4611, in the select board recommended amount of $2,400. Seconded by Les. So, let me see, 4611 Conservation Commission. Get there eventually. Here we go, 46, 47. Is there anything in here that you want to bring to our attention?
I think I should, it's 560.
Yep,
The meetings, memberships, and trainings. The Conservation Commission for the last couple of years has wanted to be able to send a Bristol child to 4-H camp, to Berry Camp. The first year, I think was the first year I had started back in '23 for that season. We just didn't get any information from the Berry Camp. We have since. And actually, even since this budget was created, we've gotten their 2025 rates. To send a child from the area to the 4-H Berry summer camp for a week, it's $700. But we budgeted $1,000, hoping that we could at least do it this year.
Right, so you put they put $600
They did.
in here to do that, which
Yeah.
turns out to be not quite the right amount. but-
Yeah, it's now, we actually will be talking to the Conservation Commission next week, just to let them know that we finally got the numbers, and it's 7, but at the time that we created the budget, we just put the 600 as a placeholder.
So I will point out to the rest of the committee that this was something the Conservation Commission had asked for last year. And we talked about, we ended up taking the money out of the budget. We basically said that as much as it's a good idea, it's a nice to, not a must to, and that we were trying to keep the budget down as much as possible and not spend taxpayer money on things like this. And my understanding is that one of our community members, who was actually a member of the committee at the time, I believe, I don't remember, had volunteered to do some private fundraising. So I believe that there was some money made available, not tax funds, to do that. I don't know if they
I
sent a
think he-
person and they found anyone,
I
but
think he still intends to send someone under his.
In addition
Yes.
to this?
I
Right.
think, so, sorry to interrupt you, Joanne. Their intent is to try to do 2. One will be fully funded from the other individual. They couldn't do it this past year, we missed all of the deadlines anyway. But he would fully fund the other person, the other child, and the intent is the conservation, I believe, to do the second one, correct,
Mhm.
Joanne?
That's correct.
so I guess I would like to have a conversation with the committee. I'm still of the opinion that that's nice to do. Anyway, no, before I start discussing, I should make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion to amend line 5, the meetings, memberships, and trainings, which is line 560 of section 4611, from the current proposed amount of $1,000 to a new amount of $400 to not fund. Now, again, it's a bottom line budget, we can't tell departments and the select board what to spend money on, but, so, does anyone would like to second that? or
I'll
can we-
second. I'll
All right,
second, so you can
so,
discuss.
motion by Paul, seconded by Sue. I think I've already kind of said what I'm thinking. I think sending kids to summer camp is a good thing, and I don't have any horrible problems with it. I just don't particularly like the idea of spending tax money and think we spend tax money on things we have to spend tax money on.
Can you tell me a little description of what this child would be, this student?
It would be a resident of Bristol. I know there was some conversation if it needed to be part of the newfound district, but after some additional conversations, the commission said it really should be a child from Bristol because it's Bristol tax dollars paying for it.
Would
And-
there be, I'm all for paying.
Yeah.
It would be a child from Bristol whose family can't afford it.
There would be, I don't know if they really determined the election process. I know reaching out to the schools, if there's a child that, I don't want to get into determining the eligibility of the child. That's just not in my purview to say that they can or can't go to camp.
I would vocally support it if
Mhm.
I thought it was gonna be
A
a
child that,
disadvantaged child.
yeah.
But without that knowledge, I'm not gonna support it.
Mhm.
So,
And
Yeah.
I will add, in the meetings that I heard, it was not discussed that it would be a disadvantaged child. It would be a child that, it would be an associated conservation commission type interest. Not necessarily a disadvantaged child, but that doesn't mean that that couldn't be something that could be recommended, so.
I think,
Okay,
go ahead, Buzz.
can I, can I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Buzz.
I'm sorry, it's so awkward being remote. I've kind of have the same problem with this that I had at last week's meeting. The select board has put together a number here, and it seems to me that it's within our province to look at the select board numbers and trim them if we think that, maybe it's in order to save a little money for the taxpayers. But if we go increasing what the select board recommends, aren't we setting policy?
Well, but the motion is to reduce. The Conservation Commission, go ahead.
I understand, I'm just saying that I think that I'm sorry, I was thinking this was additive, we're subtracting, so forget everything I said.
Go ahead, John.
So I guess 2 points. One, I think just in regards to Buzz's comment, if we were to be increasing, that's certainly within our purview as well as a committee.
We
And
have that
ultimately,
authority.
the select board
And we've
works with
done
the
it.
funds that this committee recommends and the legislature provides. But then I guess the second point is, from what I can remember over the years, the Conservation Committee has been a committee that struggled with membership, I think for a long time, like most of our town committees. And I just think if there's a child in our community who hopefully will stay in our community, who might have an interest in conservation and so forth, this is, in my mind, money well spent if we can even get one kid over a 2 or 3 year period who, when they turn 18, would be willing to serve the town. So I don't think it's a lot of money. I think we struggle with membership on almost every single committee we have in town government. So helping to develop that kid's knowledge or skill set in this realm might prove to be fruitful in the long run.
Okay.
I think we need a little bit more information before you go forward, because what Buzz was saying is that we don't know. You could have, parents upset that their child wasn't, what's the criteria? Why isn't my child going? Because are we, poor, are we rich, or whatever the situation is. I don't think we have enough information to go forward to say, yeah, you can certainly, take $1,000 and, offer it to any child to come in. If you had more, I think I'd be more
Right.
comfortable,
So just to be clear, the budget line as proposed is 1,000, but it's for meetings, memberships, and trainings. I don't know what the other 400 of that is for memberships and meetings for the the Conservation Commission member activities, and 600 of it
Was
is for
Right.
the
Student
camp,
development.
the student providing a scholarship to send a student to camp.
correct.
So the full 1,000 isn't the scholarship, and that's why I propose to take it down. I kind of agree with Walter. I'm also a little conflicted because I don't think that it's the Budget Committee's job to supervise the Conservation Committee and say, what's your selection criteria for this? I mean, they don't need our approval to
Right.
do that. So I want to be clear, I would be happy if they wanted to share that with us just so that we had some more information. But that is their choice, and we don't get to vote and decide whether we like it or not. At this point, with the information I have, I'm planning to vote in favor of the motion to amend to take the $600 out. I'm not clear that there's definitely some different viewpoints on the committee. I'm not sure where the majority stands, but that's what we'll find out when we vote.
Sure.
Comment? Another comment,
The only
please.
thing I would add is Slim Baker does also budget to send hopefully 2 kids to conservation camp. The only, that is a criteria, that it be somebody that would not otherwise be able to afford it. I would be highly in favor of sending an additional child with these funds, as long as that was the understanding, that it would be somebody recommended that could not otherwise afford to go.
Yeah.
Will you make that a recommend?
We can't.
It's not our job, that's a Conservation Commission decision.
We can
We can
only
make-
recommend.
We can recommend they do it, and if they do it, the 600 stays in. And if they don't wanna do it under those conditions, then the 600 comes out.
I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with what you want to do, but I don't think we can do conditional budgeting. I don't think we can approve something on the condition that some other board or committee or town organization fulfill a requirement. We have to just decide on what the budget is.
I think all we would be doing is strongly recommending that that be the way they choose participants.
So just to clarify, we had some of this conversation last year, and we took the money out of the budget, but a private individual, a business person actually, I think he probably did it as a business, stepped forward. But you said that money ended up not being spent because of timing and finding candidates
Last
and
year,
whatever.
correct.
So we
We've
spent, my understanding is that in past years, before I was involved, the town has sent students to this camp.
Correct.
We haven't done it recently, we certainly didn't do it in '23.
Right.
We didn't put money in the budget for '24, but the expectation was that a private scholarship was gonna be made available, but it turned out that didn't work, so we still didn't send anyone in '24. I'm even more comfortable, let's send one person in '25 on the private scholarship, and if that's successful, come back and ask for money to send a second person, is what I would say, but that's just my opinion, that's not a committee decision, I don't get to make that.
I would be comfortable including it in the budget, and then if it's used in how we feel it should be used for somebody that might not be able to go otherwise. If it's not, then next year that would probably not get included in the budget.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I would have come at it.
Second that.
I would have come at it from the other way. I'd take the money out, and then later on, when we're reconsidering sections, if the Conservation Committee came back with a selection criteria and asked us to reconsider, I would. Your comment is, let's leave it in, still ask them for the selection criteria, and then we'll take it into account next year. Yep, okay.
And we're meeting with them next week. They have their December meeting on the 4th, I think.
I think it makes perfect sense for us to promote a child going for that. I don't think it makes sense for us to pay for a child to go whose parents could afford to send them on their own. A lot of parents do pay the full camp price. It's quite a great experience, and that is a low cost for an overnight camp.
Okay.
If you make a motion,
So,
Leslie, I'll second it.
so we have we have a motion on the table, and Buzz, do you have anything more you wanted to comment on before I call a vote?
No, I'm kind of coming out where Les is.
Okay,
I think if the town is gonna put up this money, that it ought to go to someone that couldn't otherwise attend.
okay. So,
So you're gonna say we're gonna approve this in hopes that they send it to someone?
what
We don't know.
what I hear Les saying, and I think Buzz is saying he could agree to that, and you're even stronger than that, that their intent right now is to vote against the motion to take the $600 out, leave the money in the budget. We can't enforce any restrictions on that, but we can share with Joanne and ask her to tell the Conservation Committee that this is our concern, and would you please come back to us with information next month or sometime in the future on, are you okay with this? Do you agree with this? Do you, how do you feel about this? I would like to go the other way. I'd like to take the $600 out and then give ourselves an opportunity later to put it in. But I think the majority of the committee's not going to agree with me, which is fine. That's why we have a range of viewpoints, and not everyone gets everything they
Can I
want.
ask though,
Sure, go ahead.
if they're meeting next week, can we table this? Is this something that you can table and come back to it?
We
So she'd have more information?
We
at that
could,
point?
but I would like to approve, we could withdraw the motion to amend, but I don't want to table the whole department budget. I want to go ahead and approve the Conservation Commission budget section. The last meeting of the year, we always have an opportunity to go back and reopen any discussion and reconsider anything we want to consider. But I wouldn't, if we don't approve it tonight, and we're gonna do it at another meeting, we probably don't have to, but theoretically, we should ask Joanne to come to, again, to represent them, and I don't wanna do that. I wanna handle it now while she's here.
I don't think there's any harm in voting on the motion.
No, I think we'll vote on the motion, I just am not convinced that it's gonna pass. So, not hearing any more, okay, I think we've all talked and said what we wanna say. So I'm gonna call a vote, we're gonna do a roll call, we're voting on the motion to amend. So we're voting on the motion, if you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the motion to amend, which is to take the $600 out, to reduce the line 560 from 1,400. If you vote no, you're voting not to make a change, to leave it at 1,000, to leave the $600 for a scholarship in the budget. Clear?
Yep.
Which end am I starting at? I lost track.
I think it's,
Okay, Buzz? We're gonna vote.
Well, since we can revisit this, I'm gonna vote to leave the $1,000, but if we hear back that the Conservation Commission does not want to impose a condition of on the nature of the particular camper and his or her family's ability to pay, then at that time, I would introduce an amendment to take out the 600, but so I guess I'm voting against.
I was gonna say, I hear what you say, I just wanna clarify, I'm taking that as a no vote.
Right.
No,
Nay.
no.
Yes?
No.
The motion fails 1 to 5, 0.
Yeah.
So, no change to that line in the budget. Does anyone else have, again, a question, a comment, or a different line that they want to propose a change to? Okay, not hearing that, let's go ahead and vote on, so we're gonna vote on this section of the budget. We're voting on the Conservation Commission, which is section 4611, in the original amount of $2,400. Les?
Aye.
Paul, aye.
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 Buzz?
Aye.
Okay, that passes 6-0. So,
So I think that's fair, as long as we can go back like that, like he said.
so Joanne, I don't know if you want to come to a future meeting, or if you want to just pass the information on to Christina, but if you would let the Conservation Commission know about this whole conversation.
Yeah, I'll discuss it.
And respond with that, whatever information they have that they're willing to share with us, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We would appreciate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
4612 is next.
Okay, Historic District Commission. So I'm gonna make a motion to move the Historic District Commission Department section of the budget. It's section 4612, and it is in the Select Board recommended amount of $650.
Second.
Seconded. Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. Historic District Commission, 4612 for $650. I said that wrong, I'm sorry. So, is that clear? The motion is for $650. Okay. Nothing here, right? Okay, just wanted to be
There's a
sure.
slight increase in the advertising, and that's because we're working on a new brochure to help encourage, as Joe was saying, memberships where it's getting difficult,
Okay.
so.
last year we recommended and the town meeting approved a budget of $550. This year the recommended or the requested amount is $650, and as Joanne said, they've taken advertising up from $100 to $200. Does anyone want to make a comment or ask a question or propose a change? Not hearing that, we'll go ahead and vote on the bottom line for the Historic District Commission, which is section 4612, in the original amount of $650. Les?
Aye.
Paul, aye.
Aye.
Buzz?
Aye.
Yeah, 6-0, we are approved with the Historic District Commission. Are there any other sections that we
That's
need
it.
to
That's
keep
it
you here
for-
for?
That's it for my
Excellent.
expense.
All right.
things. So,
She can touch base if you want on revenue before she leaves.
Yeah, I'm just curious,
so I definitely track what we're doing in our groups. Just to give you a little history too, and on the revenue side of things, one of the things that you're gonna see this upcoming year is a land use change tax, some revenues collected there. That's anytime somebody that has land in current use and any of it's taken out because they start to develop it. The person taking the land out is then charged whatever portion of that land is determined to come out, and that's determined by the assessors. They assess a current market value to that, and then that person gets charged a 10% fee on that land taken out. In this past year, we had one property that we discovered they had developed. They had put a tiny house on it, so they were sent a land use change tax bill. They paid the $5,000. Half of it goes to conservation and half of it goes to the general fund. So we'll start collecting that. We have about 4 or 5 other properties currently that we're keeping an eye on, that we know that there's some upcoming activity that they intend, so we'll start to see some revenues on that line item. Other things that permits in the revenue worksheet or budget worksheet, they're referred to as building permits, which is 3230, land use permits. There's discussion, and it will be a warrant article with the planning board to change the naming of these. They don't particularly care for the fact that we're calling them land use permits. They feel that it's confusing to the public. So there'll be a warrant article changing them from land use permits to zoning ordinance compliance certificate. There's only so many fields in my software that will allow that, so we have to tweak that a little bit. But just to give you an idea of how we've been trending, in 2022, we collected $11,000 in revenues for land use permits. In 2023, it was $14,500. In 2024, on my report, I ran it this morning, we have collected $35,000. So now, I know land use isn't here to be a moneymaker for the town of Bristol, but it does just go to show when you have a team that's focused on, the zoning and whether I agree with some of the ordinances or not, and I tell people that, we are here to uphold the zoning ordinances. Part of that too, we also, in September of 23, I think it's been over a year now. Last September, the select board allowed us to start charging after the fact fees. And that was because we were finding a lot of people would simply do the work and then say, catch me if you can. And if you caught me, I'll just pay what I would have paid if I had come in.
right.
So we enacted after the fact fees, which is basically double what they would have paid had they come in. So our whole premise has been communicating and educating. That's what I tell my group. That's what we spend a lot of time on. I know we haven't done any Bristol Buzz articles lately, but that seems to spread the word, and people are coming into the office a lot more frequently to apply for things, or simply to ask the question if they need to have a permit for things. After the fact, we have collected over $5,100. So that's outside of the 35 that I just mentioned. The boards this past year have been a little quieter in applications and cases, which I think is a good thing, because, you know, people are either doing what they're supposed to do on the front side, so it's not causing action on the enforcement side of things. Lastly, I will say, although that number is great, I'm really proud of what my group is doing. There may be a shift downward in what we collect going into 2025, and that's because we're looking at, the planning board is looking at what would require a certificate of zoning compliance. Right now, we've established, or years ago, I think it was in 2012, when, and maybe even earlier than that, where the amount for any interior work was set at $2,000. So anything you do inside your home, if it's going to be in excess of $2,000, you had to come in and file for a land use permit. They have determined they want to up that based on today's costs of things. Makes sense. So they've increased that, and again, it will be a warrant article, but they want to increase that to $15,000 in materials only. So any interior work that's $15,000 in materials or higher would require this certificate. It will still, people still need to get a permit for a shed, you know, all the other things that they currently need permits to do. But, so, based on the fact that we're widening that gap of 2,000 up to 15,000, you know, there's gonna be a lot of things that are gonna be happening in people's homes that they don't need to come in.
They'll be under the threshold in the
Yeah,
future.
so I don't know how that will, you know, I can run a report to show, but I also have a feeling that when somebody comes in and finds out, you know, more than likely their building materials are gonna be about $14,500. But,
That's what I would expect.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
but, you know, we're not in the policing part of things, so. But, so that's our good news. I mean,
Good.
we're definitely, I'm very happy. My group is very busy, and we're just waiting for the tax rate now.
Join the queue, I think a lot of us are.
Any other questions from anybody?
Thank you for taking time out of your evening to come
Absolutely.
help us.
My granddaughter did not FaceTime me while I was sitting here. She did before I came in.
That's the best.
That is good.
All right.
All right, thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you,
Thank
same
you.
to you.
Thank you. And I'll turn the light off at that door.
Okay.
out there. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have a few more sections of the budget to do that don't require Joanne. I was just gonna keep going through the agenda. If you need to step in order, Christine, speak up, but I'm gonna do animal welfare next.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll make a motion to move the animal welfare section of the budget, which is 4414, in the select board recommended amount of $200.
Joe got it.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, to move animal control, which is 4414. So let me jump up to 4414, but for $200, I'd be surprised if there's more than one line in there.
There's only one line.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. 44.
Level funded to 24.
I can let you know that we had bumped it up in the department to 500 to cover, because that's what the costs were this year. For any cat that is brought to the Humane Society in Enfield, we pay, I think it's $150 per cat and $250 per dog. So we've been billed, I still have another bill, we've been billed for a cat and two cats and a dog or something like that. I have one more bill that may have to come out of this, but the board moved it back down to level funded. Because we just don't know how many animals are gonna end up over there in any given year, so.
Can I say a little story real quick? The police officer, you know, the officer who is in charge.
canine officer?
The canine officer came knocking at our door a couple days ago and asked us if we knew anybody who had a farm around us. And we said, not really, I don't know anybody who has a farm around there. We said, why? And he said, because I found a little pig on the side of the road. There was a little baby pig. It couldn't have been more than 6 weeks.
I need to talk to him, he needs to bring me
Yeah, I
to
would've
meet
taken-
me.
Well, anyway, so we said, no, but we do have a friend who owns a farm. So we said, well, we can check with her though, if you know, he goes, yeah, because it's messing his car up. We went, okay, yeah, no problem, so we'll take care of it, we'll put it in the back of our truck and we'll bring it to this lady. Gave all the information, we go up there. He goes, but it's walking funny, it may have been hit by a car. He said, oh my God, oh, I hope not. So my husband, I didn't want to go out and look at it, because I mean, I get attached to little things like that, so I just said, no, I'm not gonna go out there. So I said, you know, he looked at it, he goes, yeah, it's limping, I think it might be hurt. And it's like, you know, it's like just tiny, but it was loud. Anyway, so he brings it in his truck, we call up the lady we know, puts it in his truck, puts a blanket in there, and a, you know, a bed, the whole thing, getting it up there. She took that, the baby, the pig wasn't born with feet. Come to find out,
That's why
no,
it
she's
was
taking care of
limping.
it. That's why we think it was abandoned. You see, someone let it go. So I can see that you find animals or things, so what would you charge for something like that? Because it's not a kitty, but.
That's where my cats came from, was Bristol.
Yeah, no feet on it, it was sad, but she's taking care of it, she said it's happy right now, because it's comfortable in one spot, so, yeah,
Aw.
and she's feeding it, so.
So yeah, I don't know what we would pay for. a
What would
pig.
you pay, that's what I said, what would you pay for a little pig?
That's a whole other thing.
Size of a dog.
Yeah.
Depends on how big they get.
All right, I don't have any comments. Does anyone else on the committee have a comment or a question or a motion to amend? Not hearing any, we'll have a roll call vote to approve the animal control section of the budget. Number 4414, the select board, original select board recommended amount of $200. Should keep better track. Buzz, let's start with you.
Aye.
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 Passes 6-0. All right. Let's see. So TTTC, Kelly Park, Patriotic Conservation, Patriotic are the three we have left to do. Does it matter what order?
Does it matter to you, Les?
Nope.
TTTC. So which is actually on the agenda says TTTC. I think in our budget it's recreation.
It's 4520.
It's Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation.
Right. So I will make a motion to move the budget for the recreation section of our town budget, which is section 4520, in the select board recommended amount of $125,778. Did I get a second? I don't
I'll
think she's
second.
gonna do
I'll
it.
second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, to move recreation section 4520 in the amount of $125,778. Are you going to talk about that, or should we ask?
And I'm gonna just tell you, in your packets, there's also,
Yes,
the
there was a,
2024 budget report and 2025 proposed budget from the Tapley Thompson
I brought
Community
hard
Center.
copies in case anybody.
So, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, come on.
I'm going to defer to Director Dion.
Does anyone need a hard copy?
Or do you want?
No, I won't. I've got it.
You have color copies, do you want one,
I
Walter?
do, except they feel like
Here.
they've got construction dust on them. I don't know why.
I'm passing around.
Here, Walter.
I do, okay.
That's right, she's got you a good color copy.
Darn kids.
I think I have this electronically. Well, you
Yeah,
already
there
printed
was
them, I
one.
might as well take one.
Oh.
Comments, questions?
It's,
So I will share with the committee that I had a conversation with Les, who is the director of the TTCC, and to ask about what leeway is here you know, is this something we can negotiate on, or is this like the NHMA? You either pay the fee and you're a member, or you don't pay the fee, and you don't get to be a member. And the answer I got was that the GTCC guideline, bylaws say this is the money they need to run the organization. If we pay $1 less, we're not a member. So there's really not any reason to amend the amount. We're either gonna pay it or we're not. And I don't think there's any question we're gonna pay it, but
The only thing I would add, it's not the perfect way to do it, but there isn't really a better way to do it. And so the fair share formula's been in effect probably we're almost 80 years old, so probably about 72 years, and that's how it's worked. And it has happened in the past that towns have chosen not to pay, which then means those kids don't get to participate, the families don't get to participate in the programs. That's not fun, not anything we ever want to see. But right now, there's no better formula, it's similar to how the school district does it. You know, you come up with the amount and it is what it is, so.
right.
But in a good vein, we did give $17,000 back to Bristol in scholarships last year. And the amount of participants, it was at 518, so 40% of our participants are Bristol residents.
I don't have any children, I don't really participate, but I don't think there's any question in my mind that this is a value to the town, this is a benefit to the town, lots of people love it. There's no reason not to fund it, because if we don't, someone at town meeting will stand up and override us.
The Taylor Thompson is the best spent money in this town.
All right,
Completely agree.
so don't want to cut people off. If you have any more comments, I'm willing to listen to them, but I'm ready to vote.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna vote on the bottom line for the recreation department. So we're voting on the recreation section of the budget, which is 4520, and we're voting we haven't amended it, so it's the original proposed amount of $125,778. We're starting with you today on this one. Simpson. Yep, so I'll vote yes.
I'll vote yes.
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 Buzz?
Yes.
So 501, that passes. We're done with the recreation department. And now we'll move on to the Kelly Park section, which is, so I'll make a motion to move the Kelly Park section of the budget, which is section 4522, in the select board recommended amount of $39,926.
Second.
Okay, motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, to move Kelly Park, section 4522, in the amount of, how much did I say?
39,900.
Yeah, I think that's beaches, I read the wrong line.
No, that's right.
No, that's right.
That's right.
39,000.
Yeah, 39,000.
26, yep.
I'm easily confused, okay. 39, I got it right, even though I thought I was wrong. 39,926. So let me move to section 4522. And there's am I correct in thinking there's like a board or a commission that is?
There's a committee.
There's a committee that is overseeing it,
Yeah.
and you're a part of that committee.
Mhm.
So we'll stick you with the,
So, last year, this committee did take the 20,000 out. It's listed, is it still listed?
We changed
We
it.
changed it because it is always
Registration.
listed in master plan, and it should not have been listed. It's projects that are being done at the park, not long-term projects or any big ones that we're putting money away for. It's things that we really need right away. So this year, although the funds were cut, we were able to complete the pathway from the tennis court to make it more handicap accessible. And we were able to do that because we encumbered funds last year. From the budget, we had a contract to get it done, and the highway department made it happen in the nick of time before the snow flew. So I would say on behalf of the committee that there are things that have to be done down there, and there are improvements that have to be made. And for us to cut, there's no other fluff in there that could be used if something goes wrong. So that 20,000 has been in there for years and years and has not increased. And it really makes it possible for them to do some of the activities that they plan to do.
So just to clarify, we're talking about line 820 of this
Yeah.
section 4522.
So the, and
So,
the- yeah.
so it's ongoing funding that typically would lapse at the end of the year. And you can see on the sheet that in 23, that money was in the budget, and they actually spent roughly 11,500. And that when we talked about this last year, we were told that the majority of it was to put in a new walking path from the parking lot just north of the tennis courts, along the tennis courts, and up to what I would call the concert area. And
So-
we made a decision that as much as we liked the walking path, we were looking for things to cut, and we I don't remember what the vote was. I know I voted in favor of it, although it was not an easy vote, that it was a nice to do rather than a must do. And we took the money out, and between encumbering and money left over and some other things, you found a way, the town and the Kelly Park Commission found a way to make that happen anyway. So my question would be, do you have a feel for what needs to be done, that the $20,000 is gonna get spent against, or that
It
most
says
of it?
on the,
So the tennis court fence needs repairing.
Oh, I see, tennis court,
Replacement trees, yeah.
replace trees,
We
baseball
have
and
a
field
number of
work.
trees that were taken down because they were dying because of whatever it was that went around.
Some insect or some
Yes.
fungus or something.
So they had to be removed, so there's, I think, 3 trees that we need to replace. And then the other is the baseball infield needs work because the material that we've used is making it hard to keep it in a playable condition. We have recently had some damage to the field as well because somebody took a joyride out there and made some big holes. I believe the insurance payment will probably cover
all of that.
most of that, but it may mean that we're gonna have to do some more work in the spring that we weren't.
And the
anticipating.
baseball field is the one that I would say is in like the northeast corner, just down the hill from the community gardens?
No, that's a
No.
softball field.
Okay,
That's a softball soccer field, and the baseball field is the one closer to the pavilion, and it is the baseball and field hockey field.
okay.
And there's, I mean, we really need to maintain that to be playable for games, and that includes the field hockey field, and there's always work that has to be done. Certain times of the year, the grass has to be at a certain level, depending on what sport it is. So the middle school sports run off of that field, and the community center, and then adult programs run off that field.
The majority of the damage was the field hockey field, but it did edge near the outfield of the baseball field. We tried to repair it before winter, but we just don't know if that's gonna work before we buy spring.
Was it a vehicle or?
Yeah.
Yes,
It was just a vehicle, not their
donuts. It was interrupted, is what we believe luckily, and,
Yes.
or it would have been a lot worse,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Does anyone,
On yours, because I can't find where I'm at.
okay. It's 4522, let me stall a little bit while Walter takes a look at that.
$20,000.
So I can tell you that we did encumber from 2023.
Mhm.
It was about $9,900 that we encumbered to be able to do the path, and we've spent all but $64 of that. So 64 will go back into the general fund
From the 23 budget,
of the 20, from the 23.
because the 24 budget had zero
Had zero.
in that
Right.
line.
Yep.
I think
Did we end up spending any money out of the Kelly Park Trust Fund for that walkway or for anything
No,
else?
No.
that was for something else, I'd have to look it up, but it was
The
something else.
Plan,
I think
get
that,
the committee to agree on spending money out of the trust funds is not easy. So I believe we've agreed that we will spend, we need to get a new sandbox down there because we have a log one and the logs have deteriorated, so we're going to get a regular playground type sandbox. So if we don't have money in this budget, 25, then that's something we'll take out of the trust funds. But that's not included in what we plan right now.
so we did take 1,050, but that was for Eagle Palm Studios, that was something,
That was for the
Oh,
So we have a
design of the new building?
design for the new building. We just don't have anybody ready to write grants for that amount of money to get that new building, so we're stalled. We have had money donated for that purpose, that's being held in a playground account that the community center has, because the only way they could do that was when we did the Kelly Park Playground, the community center was a 501c3. So we had about $4,000 left over after that, and we have used some of that to replace equipment and repair. Now with these new donations, there's maybe another 10,000, I'd have to look at my books to see, but that is specifically for a new building. So
Restricted.
it's gonna sit there for a while until we can get the new building done.
Okay.
And it was, those funds were donated in memory of Bill Marston, who was a baseball player at Kelly Park.
I was just gonna say, I think, so one, having been a kid who's grown up playing countless games on that baseball field, it is in constant need of improvement. And it's, I would say, in the area that our kids play baseball, I would say it's a nice setup, but the grounds itself is probably, I would not say it's on the higher end of fields in the area. The tennis court fence repair, I'm actually happy to see that. I was down there with my daughter a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed that the fence was kind of needs some work, and of course, being a 2-year-old, she was all over it.
It's like magnetic, right?
Yeah. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I'll also just say, I feel like in the past 5 years, Kelly Park has served as a fantastic events space. We've been doing some really cool stuff down there. I think it's a big asset. It's worth spending a little money on. So, I mean, I've been blown away by the National Night Out turnout, by the Old Home Day turnout. I feel like it's very different than when I was growing up as a kid. Very
That
different.
community night out event is amazing.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Unbelievable.
cool. Kudos to the events committee for
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Well,
All I can say is I'll do anything I can to help Kelly Park and Tapley Thompson, anything I can. And if I knew what to say right now, I would do it. All I can say is as much as we can put into this is where kids go, stay out of trouble. I went there, my whole family went there, my cousins all went there, and they managed to stay out of trouble.
I managed to get into trouble. Those bleachers were a real problem.
all right, you know me, I love to cut money, but I love Kelly Park too, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. All right, not hearing any other comments or questions or proposals, I think it's time to vote on the bottom line for the Kelly Park section of the budget. So we're gonna vote on section 4522 Kelly Park in the original proposed amount of $39,860.
No, 39,926.
Yeah.
Wrong column.
Wrong column, thank you for correcting me. 39,000, that was the original motion I made, 39,926, so I didn't get it right. I got it right the first time, but I didn't the second. Thank you for correcting.
And I'll second it.
All right, so
Buzz's turn.
it is Buzz's turn. So I just want to be clear, since I made a mistake, I'm going to say it again just so we're clear. So we're voting on Kelly Park, section 4522, in the original amount of $39,926. Buzz?
Aye.
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 Aye. I can't
Six.
vote on that one.
6-0, it passes. I think we have one more to do.
Yeah, it's
Patriotic.
4583.
Oh, historic, no, we did historic, just patriotic.
Yeah.
I wonder who's gonna speak to that?
I think I know.
Can speak to some of it.
So I will, put,
You can jump
Park, we
in.
didn't change that number. So I'm gonna make a motion to move the patriotic purposes section of the budget, which is number 4583, in the select board recommended amount of $29,900. Someone want to second that for me,
I'll
guys?
second, yeah.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, to move patriotic purposes, section 4583, in the amount of $29,900. Sue, 4583. 15, 45. 83, okay. So we have 4 lines in here. We are, in this current budget, the amount is $29,600. The proposed amount this year is $29,900, so it went up by $300. And that was for patriotic purposes. Line 890 went up from $1,200 to $1,500. Does anyone in the room can speak against it, or is there anything that we should be brought to our attention?
The only thing, we didn't expend all of the events coordinator money, we left a little in there, but that's because the events coordinator retired.
I thought I heard that, yeah.
And we do have somebody on the committee that we're hoping will serve in that position because they're really doing all of that work right now on their own and very qualified.
They're working on a contract, and so once I get the copy of their contract, I'm bringing it to the board to look at it. But they're willing to do it for the same amount of money that the former contracted coordinator did it for, so.
And kudos to the many, many years that our Claire Moorhead had that position, and from the beginning of the concert series, and did a phenomenal job. That's when we established the spring, summer, and fall, winter guides, which are very popular for people. So the committee has level funded that for a long time. And that brings all the concerts, all, community night out, Halloween, the tree lighting, lots of different activities, so.
So
They do good
Claire
work.
retired?
Claire retired.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, she wants to be able to travel with Doug, so.
Yeah, nice.
So,
So the only increase was on patriotic purposes, and that was for we have the
I just,
cost of the bunting and the flags has gone up. We have some flags that are gonna need to be replaced. This isn't going to be able to cover that all, but we didn't wanna put it up a lot. We only put it up a little bit so we could try to replace some of our bunting flags.
and I would just point out, I don't think it changes anything, but just so that everyone knows, is that the cost of all of this is, I'm thinking of the concert series in particular. I mean, the town does go out and ask businesses to support. They have the sign up, what is it, the superheroes, and
Yeah,
there's 2 levels of support, and there's a certain amount that gets
and typically that's.
donated, and that, a lot of that, I think it's all
It's about
used
$4,000 is donated each year through sponsorship.
through sponsorships. So in addition to this money, it does cost more than that to put on the concert series, but we get businesses in town to pay a sponsorship fee, and that money is put towards those concerts. So I think we're getting some pretty good bang for our buck here, so I'm I'm planning to support this. Anyone else?
The only other one there, it's level funded, but the downtown decorating committee, I'm not on that committee, but I know they do a tremendous job, and they've been down there putting the wreaths up and getting the tree ready, and that was no fun this year. And thank you to Kenny Braley and the Braley family for the tree that he was able to get off his property and bring down to us. So Lucille aged considerably over that whole tree deal this year. But it's, they do some beautiful things down there.
Yeah, I think the downtown looks nice. The downtown decorating committee does a great job. Obviously, the garden club does wonderful work for us and helps make Bristol the special place that it is. So, not hearing any other comments, questions, or motions to amend, I will call a vote on the bottom line for patriotic purposes. So we're going to vote on the bottom line for section 4583, which is patriotic purposes, in the amount of $29,900. Les?
Aye.
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 6-0, that passes. Looking at the agenda, I think we've covered all of the sections. Christina, do you see anything that I missed?
Do historic?
We did
historic.
we did historic with Joanne when she was
Okay.
here.
Yep, we're good, we are good.
Yeah, we did through health use, then we jumped to Conservation Commission and Historic District, and then we went back. So we're done with the budget sections that are on our agenda for this evening. And the next item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our most recent previous meeting, which was the November 12th meeting. So those draft minutes were distributed to all of the committee members with the documentation last week. Let me start with my expert. Buzz, what do you got for us?
I just got one comment. It's on the second page. It's the next to the last paragraph on the page that begins motion to amend line 518.
Hold on a second. You're on the second page at the bottom, you said?
Yeah, the second from the last paragraph on the bottom of the second page begins motion to amend line number 518.
Hold on, I'm not finding it.
At least on mine.
No. Motion? Did I open the
It's,
wrong document?
under the,
Hold on a second. I'm
Oh,
in the wrong
minutes.
document.
it's under outside agencies, so
Right.
1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph.
Yeah, no, the problem is that I changed the directory to get the other, so I opened up like an October 12th minutes, so that's why I'm confused. Hold a second, when I open this correct document. Okay. Motion to move the, okay, so you're in 4150? No, wait, this doesn't make sense.
Motion to amend line 518, Bridge
Yeah.
House Shelter.
Yeah.
How did I open the minutes for December 19th of 2023? That's not the file I wanted.
We're taking his computer away from him.
Yeah, I might, and I haven't even been drinking. Okay. See, no, I'm still wrong. I'm seeing,
I don't have them, well, I might have them to share on the.
I got October 29th minutes, but that's not what I
Here.
Do you
want.
want to just read it on my
Wrong
paper?
one.
What was
Yes.
the correction, Buzz?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it isn't really worth all this.
All right.
I know.
It's right there.
In the last sentence, it says, Ms. Goodwin stated that the welfare office did leave comment, and I think you just strike the word leave. The gist of this is that they were reporting comments that the welfare office had made because they didn't appear at
Okay.
our meeting. And it's just grammar, just take out the word leave.
Thank you. I don't have it in front of me. Christina, do you have it?
It's right
It's right
there.
there.
Okay.
So they're right here, this word. Take that word out.
Yeah, it's,
Gotcha. Okay. That's it, Buzz?
that's it.
Okay.
Wow.
Did anyone else have any other adjustments, corrections, spelling errors, grammar errors? Not hearing any. We will now we're now going to vote to approve the minutes as amended. That's probably the least number of amendments we've had in a long time. So we're voting to approve the minutes as amended. Buzz?
Aye.
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 Okay, the minutes are approved as amended, 6-0. Let me go back. So we've done minutes. Correspondence. Does anyone have any correspondence they want to share with the committee? I don't think so. Member comments. Anything, start with the select board. Anything going on with the select board we need to know about?
No, not anything big right now, but I just might remind people that the tree lighting is on Friday, 5 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock Santa will come in, as long as he makes it down from the North Pole. And the Festival of Trees is also Friday and Saturday at the old town hall, historic town hall.
Okay.
And the only other comment or question, and I'm just throwing it out there, but we've been short a member for quite a few meetings. And,
Short member of what?
on the budget committee.
Okay.
And it concerns me because when we do get to 3-3 votes, that's a concern, that the people have voted onto the board to do the business of the board. And I have a concern that we've had many, many meetings and one member has not been here.
Okay. So I will make, Mike, I was gonna comment, and so I'll respond to that. Janet and we traded a couple of emails. I don't know. I prefer to do things face to face, so I suggested we get together for a cup of coffee or something. And she agreed, but then things came up. She had some oral surgery and things fell through. So the last time we had a phone conversation Saturday, and she said she couldn't meet with me. How about Sunday? And I said I already had plans for all day Sunday. So we said, and then she and her husband left town Monday morning for try again, Paul, Thanksgiving plans. So we have tentative plans to get together next week when we're both back from Thanksgiving. So I can't give you any detail, but I can tell you that she and I have made tentative arrangements to get together where she can share with me what's going on and any concerns she has, and I can also let her know that when I talked to her on Saturday, her first thought was that we were going to have a meeting last week and not a meeting this week. So I said, no, we didn't have a meeting. We have a meeting now. And she said, well, I can call in on Zoom. So until early today, we were expecting that she would call. I was expecting she would call in, and I shared that with Shannon and with Christina. But I got an email mid-morning this morning saying that she's not feeling well, and after multiple oral surgery, she's not sleeping well, and that she didn't think she'd be calling in. So I have some of those same concerns, and I'm hopeful that we will have some more information the next time we meet in 2 weeks, but I can't really
You're
give you more than
addressing
that.
it.
I'm trying to
That's
address it.
the only,
Okay,
so.
so, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I needed to share for comments. I think that's it. Sue, anything you wanted to share?
No, I got nothing.
Joe? Walter? Buzz, anything you wanted to share?
No,
Okay, staff comments, Christine, anything you wanna share?
Oh, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, thank you. Thank you. So I'm just, I think we're done. So I will remind you that our next, our normal rhythm is the second and the fourth Tuesday of each month. December will be different. The fourth Tuesday of December is December 24th. We are not having a meeting on the evening of December 24th. So we're gonna meet on the second and the third week. So the next meeting is normal, that's gonna be Tuesday, December 10th. And then we'll meet the following week on Tuesday, December 17th, so we get two meetings in the month of December. So our next meeting is 2 weeks from tonight, on Tuesday, December 10th at 6 o'clock here in this room.
And I will not be at that meeting because we're taking a group to Cirque Holiday Dreams.
Oh, is that the bus
That's the
trip?
center, so I have to go on that trip, so.
Thank you for letting us know ahead of time.
I'll find out who the alternate is for the.
I thought it was Carol, but yeah,
I
check
think
it,
it's Carol.
see if he can come. So, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Joe, seconded by Sue. All in favor? Or do I need to do a roll call for this one too?
Aye.
I heard Buzz say aye. Aye. Roll call passes, we're adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you, Kate.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Here, I'm gonna unplug.